We are back with our ethics investigators to talk more about this bill and the amendment that's concerning everyone. Jody Reese is the Broward Inspector General. Jose Araujo is the Executive Director of Miami-Dade's Commission on Ethics, board member Nelson Bellido. And so we all listened to the senator. I know you couldn't hear a lot of what he said just because of TV technology, but Senator Jones essentially said this amendment concerns him too. And the House version of the bill, which doesn't have it, it sounded like he was all on board for coming to some sort of balance. Your take on how it passed the Senate with this amendment attached to it?
Okay, the bill itself, I think, was a bill of the Ethics Committee of the Senate, and the Senate's Ethics Committee chair being Danny Burgess, and it was Danny Burgess's amendment, or I should say amendment of the committee, on the floor of the Senate. So when we say it was a last minute amendment, it really truly was. It was after the second reading of the bill, which everybody, I think, all around believes that that bill is pretty good for the public. It provides for certain milestones and deadlines for the Commission on Ethics to process complaints, and added a couple of provisions to allow lawyers, I think, to not disclose who their clients are on certain disclosures.
Which could be a double-edged sword, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Right. So it was on the floor, and this amendment, or several of these amendments, were offered, and they all passed. This one being the last one, and it was immediately prior to the vote of the entire bill. And so one of the senators who spoke or asked questions of the sponsor of Senator Burgess asked specifically, or couched specifically, that this was sort of a poison pill. And that made me kind of start up, because in fact, with a bill that everyone has agreed to and everybody thinks is a good thing, to have this provision, which a lot of senators, I do believe, voted against the amendment itself, but then ended up voting for the whole bill because they liked the overall package.
And that's actually a problem with a lot of, I don't want to say problem, that's editorial, that's an issue with a lot of bills that go through state and Congress, is that the bill's really good and then somebody will slip in something that they want that you kind of have to vote for because the bill is so good, but that is really concerning. But Jose, I want to get a sense, I mean, we've compiled video of all of these elected officials who are being scrutinized for ethical and in some cases, criminal issues. I want to get a real life sense of, you'll know who I'm talking about in Miami-Dade. Would they be facing scrutiny if this bill becomes law with the amendment?
So I think the way that I would answer that is, they may be facing scrutiny, but there is a whole investigative process that goes on the front end. I think you're referring to cases where it starts as an ethics investigation. We investigate the matter. At some point along the way, we gather enough credible evidence that we think it might be criminal. We refer it to the state's attorney's office, and in many instances, our investigators wind up being co-affiants on arrest warrants. So those are not cases that arise because someone swore at a sworn complaint. Those are cases that arose because someone called us, because we received a tip, because we read something or saw something on TV, and we decided to investigate it to see if there's credible evidence. Under the language of the Senate amendment, that investigation will never happen. We will not be able to investigate the matter up front. We will not be able to, to give some type of investigative work product to police and prosecutors because we can't do it. And something I think that folks haven't looked at is we'll be prohibited from doing the reverse also. So if the state attorney's office investigates a matter and they determine at the end of their investigation there's insufficient evidence here for us to file criminal charges, but we're going to refer this back to the ethics agency. Well, absent a complaint, they can't do that anymore. We will not be able to investigate it. So not only does it affect cases that are ultimately criminal that start with us, it's going to affect cases where the state attorney's office defers to the ethics commission. We won't be able to investigate those either. So yeah,
but I don't think it's clear yet whether the ones that have been ongoing, Glenna, whether they would be curtailed. In other words, this bill, if it became a law and Governor DeSantis signed it, it would take effect, as I've read it, October 1st of 2024.
Yes.
So the ongoing investigations that have been happening over the last months, I don't think they would be impacted. I mean, Jose may know better, but I don't believe they would be impacted.
Well, I will tell you, Miami's mayor was under an ethics complaint and had come forward and said that, you know, the commission dropped the complaint, and which is true. And the reason for the particular complaint he was talking about, the reason it was dropped is because it was brought with someone with no firsthand knowledge. In other words, it was a news report and a member who, I'm sure that they're going to consider it a political type of thing. But it was dropped because the Ethics Commission right now needs firsthand knowledge from the complainant. Or
That's the state commission, not the local commission.
okay, so the local commission, anyone can file a complaint, and so to the point of the bill going through, anyone who has, you know, political designs or maybe a little bit of a malicious intent can file a complaint. And are you bound to go forward with that?
So I can try to answer that. So I mean, if someone swears under oath, at least in Dade County, and files a complaint under oath, and it's politically motivated and it's meritless, we already have in our local ordinance the ability for the respondent, you know, to seek, you know, the assessment of costs and other, you know, there's a way for the respondent, you know, to go after the complainant and say, wait a minute, that was completely without merit, that was malicious, and we want you to pay attorney's fees, and we want you to, so something that's being proposed in the state statute already exists locally, and we have, I think, 2 cases pending right now before our board where exactly that happens. So there's a mechanism that already exists locally for that.
Do you think that, back to politics, there are a couple of bills that preempts local decisions on a variety of issues, development, et cetera. Is this one of those, do you think?
It is. I mean, by all appearances and everything that I've read, Senator Burgess's amendment is just that. He's saying, hey, we want uniformity. What I would suggest is look at the local commissions. Look at the ethics commissions in Jacksonville and Naples, in Miami-Dade County and Broward. Talk to these local officials, these local commissions, and you're going to get an answer that may surprise you, because Jose just told you we already have it in place. So perhaps the state should come more in line with what the local commissions are doing now.
Well, let me give Jody the last word. With that said, what should the public do? What should the public know, and what kind of action can the public take?
You can go to myfloridahouse.com/
Or just Google it.
yeah, or just Google it.
For TV purposes.
Right, okay, just Google who is your House representative and contact them and contact their office on Monday or Tuesday and simply let them know how you feel about this bill.
And on that note, public engagement is always what we do. It is so good to have you here, and I hope you will keep in touch on this and other ethical concerns in the county.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Michelle,
much.
Thank you.
All right, next we actually have one of those representatives with us for this and some other big bills affecting South Florida. State Rep Tom Fabricio is here next.